Every single relationship is a cult. Two people build a private religion. They create rituals. They decide what is sacred. They decide which truths may be spoken and which truths will get you punished. They build a heaven called when things are good and a hell called if you ever leave me. They worship something together. Sometimes it's growth. Sometimes it's family, pleasure, status, safety, sex, money, or God. And sometimes without either person realizing it, the thing they worship is the wound that brought them together. See, the question is not whether your relationship is a cult. The question is whether it is conscious and whether what sits at the center is worthy of the life you are sacrificing to it. See, that was the central territory of my first book, The Cult of Two. It's an uncensored book about sexual magic, yes. But underneath that, it's a book about relationships and the initiatory technology. The fastest place to discover what you worship, what you fear, and what you have outsourced, and what you are capable of becoming once you choose to do so consciously. By the end of today's episode, I'm going to give you a 5-part audit, show you what your relationships have actually been organizing around, and how to begin replacing unconscious worship with a chosen purpose. I want to say something that sounds cold until you understand it completely. The person you love does not manufacture the love that's inside of you. They trigger it. Love happens from you, not to you. Now, I'm not saying your partner is irrelevant, interchangeable, or even unreal. I'm saying that state you call love is generated inside your body according to the meaning your nervous system assigns to this person. You see, when you were a baby boy or a young girl, you slowly started developing an impression of the feminine or of the masculine, whatever your own opposite is, which in psychology is referred to as the anima or animus. Your inner opposite then became mutated, transformed, changed as you went. You learned by watching television what was attractive in the opposite sex, or whatever your personal attraction format is in terms of genders. But systemically, you built up a series of postures, appearances, looks, ideas, tones, voices, characteristics, behaviors. And these were simply symbols that you anchored specific states and qualities to. When you met that person, it wasn't true love. It was a catalyst for all of those emotionally mixed meaning states within your unconscious to fire off at the exact same time, and the overwhelming biochemistry resulting from this personal magical spell you put yourself on and they put themselves in too, because after all, unconscious minds read each other. It was called love, but the capacity was yours. See, this is why two people can receive the same behavior from someone and experience it in completely different ways. One feels safe, the other feels trapped. One feels desired, the other feels used. The event is not the emotion. Meaning stands between them, and that is completely individual. We create the reality we perceive. If it was always true love, then that person that it was true love with in the past would have still been in your life, but it wasn't, because they didn't experience it the way you did. Your reality is yours and theirs is theirs, and both are the chemical results of your own unconscious conditioning. You see, you're often attracted to someone because they visibly carry a quality you have not yet given yourself permission to embody. Their confidence, softness, danger, discipline, status, freedom, beauty, or fire becomes the face of something dormant inside of you. It's part of these symbols that you've built up in your life of the things that are supposed to be you. And now you're projecting them over different portions. I want you to look at your past partners. Ignore hair color, profession, surface, personality qualities. What qualities keeps returning? What ache? What promise? What familiar injury? It's almost as if you have been sculpting different bodies towards the same inner face. You see, and that's where the problem of outsourcing really is. The moment another person becomes the only permitted source of love, the only symbol of a state that actually dwells in you, love, excitement, worth, safety, or even identity, they stop being only a person. They become an altar. And now their absence is not merely disappointing, it feels like the death of a god. So let me be clear though. The work of this book is not to stop loving the other. The work is to stop demanding that the other carry the part of your soul you refuse to carry yourself. A partner can awaken love in you. They should never be made its sole owner. It's too much responsibility to give another human being, and it's also not theirs to carry, it's yours. It's the beauty that dwells in you. What if you saw that inside of yourself and didn't just look for it in partners? And what if that light you could then shine on anyone? There are 3 stages in this process, and most relationship becomes trapped in one of the first 2. The first one says, complete me. The second one says, I need nobody. And the third one says, I do not need you to be myself, and that's why I'm finally capable of choosing you. It's when the games stop completely. It's when we can see through the lies and the rules because we don't need to participate in it. It's not the abandonment of the current age where everyone thinks they deserve something that doesn't really exist. They're still externalizing things, or every single thing is an ick. That's still level 1 or level 2 at the absolute best. It's a healthy, integral ability to experience relationship because you're already experiencing the things that you could get from relationships, allowing you to see freely when someone's a match or a complement to your frequency or a collaborator on the path of your magical creation. See, stage 1 is the seeker or lost child. It's dependence. These are 2 people that cannot reliably generate their own states. So each becomes a biochemical source for the other. The relationship feels fated simply because the need is so enormous. Attention feels like oxygen. Distance feels like withdrawal. This stage can indeed be intoxicating. It can be brutally damaging as well. The pleasure is real, but neither person owns the source. And that's what makes the entire structure exceptionally unstable, inevitably toxic. For example, abandoning standards to keep the connection going, mistaking anxiety for passion, requiring constant reassurance, putting the other person on a pedestal, or treating their boundaries as rejection. These are all signs of an unhealthy relationship simply because these are people in which their source of state is dependent on unconscious things the other person does. The second stage is the martyr, which is the armored independent. Pain forces the person to develop what they lack. This is usually after those first level relationships end quite badly. They build the career now. All men are this way, all women are that way. They build the social life, the knowledge, the money, the discipline. This is the real progress that they start to see. But often it comes with a hidden vow. No one will ever have that much power over me again. It's still a game of power. The seeker says, please don't leave. The martyr says, I will leave first. Both are still organized around the same altar. One approaches it, the other refuses to even look at it. You see, opposites initially pull because each carries what the other one lacks. As those qualities developed internally, the polarity can fade. Couples may remain together without passion, they could move on, or allow the old identity to die and build a more mature one. But that's the fundamental. In the first stage, both don't have the capacity for resourceless states. In the second stage, each one has opposing or opposite resources or states, nourishing, assertiveness, whatever these qualities may be, and they complete each other for a period. But when they're together long enough, one starts to cultivate those qualities and the other one doesn't, making the attraction also disappear or become only one-sided. Many ways the typical relationships that market on the internet today, but an exceptionally unhealthy or incomplete one. The third stage, the addict or the interdependence stage, here each person has cultivated within themselves the qualities they once begged for in others. Neither has the strength, perform, or threaten the other in order to remain connected. They are naturally, securely attached, we could say. This is not a cold attachment, this is a freedom with intimacy. You can take responsibility for your own internal states and still allow another person to affect you deeply. Unity creates love, difference creates attraction. A mature relationship has an equilibrium within both. Enough common purpose to move as one, and enough genuine individuality that there are still two people capable of meeting and bringing qualities without making the other one responsible for their unique attributes. The goal is not two halves completing one another. It is two developed beings creating a third thing neither could build alone. Every cult has a system of punishment and reward. Relationships do too. Affection when you behave correctly, withdrawal when you tell the wrong truth, sex when the peace has been restored, silence when one person wants the other to feel the cost. Most couples do not write these laws down, their nervous system learns them anyway. You see, human behavior moves away from what has been coded as pain and moves towards what has been coded as pleasure. And these aren't necessarily the physical reflections, but more the emotional reflections of those states. The signals are real, the meaning attached to them are conditioned and highly individual. One person experiences conflict as the possible end of love, so they surrender the truth to restore connection. Another experiences vulnerability as humiliation, so they create distance and call it strength. What you repeatedly reward grows. What you repeatedly punish goes underground. It does not disappear. It returns as resentment, secrecy, fantasy, numbness, or betrayal. You see, you confuse familiar activation with compatibility and keep choosing the same relationship in a different body. You betray your own word to preserve connection, then wonder why your self-esteem and authority are collapsing. You make your partner responsible for regulating states they did not create and cannot permanently maintain. You avoid necessary conflict until attraction dies beneath politeness. You fear the loss of a relationship so much that you preserve its form after its truth has gone. The deepest cost is not always the breakup. Sometimes it's the relationship succeeding and keeping both people exactly as they were. And yes, sometimes that relationship needs to end. The Ragnarok of romance, the pain and pleasure dynamics, all subjects I explore more deeply inside of the book. But sometimes we need to free ourselves from that old programming and we need to allow the Armageddon of a current relationship or a past relationship to stop playing with these old outdated rules by which we have been conditioned. The identity created by the relationship, the third self, may have reached the end of its usefulness. If it cannot die, neither partner gets to become who the relationship was meant to produce. You see, the vehicles of the old communication strategies and the old signals or versions of ourselves cannot persist the exact same throughout the dynamic of a long-term relationship or a long-term covenant, if you will. It is fundamentally required for it to evolve, and there needs to be a mechanism that allows both partners to murder off the old version and birth the ever-transforming version that is still for the best and ultimate good of the dynamic, the purpose that was identified. If the private laws of your current and most recent relationships govern the next 10 years, who would they train you to become? More honest or more careful? More alive or more manageable? More capable of love or simply more skilled at avoiding abandonment? Whatever your relationship repeatedly rewards is the deity being built between you. So let us make the unconscious religion visible. You can do this with a partner, or you can do this alone using your current relationship, your last relationship, or the pattern across all of them. 5 questions, radical self-honesty, no occult equipment required or initiation prerequisites. Question number 1. What sits on the altar? Look at time, attention, arguments, sacrifices, and repeated decisions. What does the relationship protect above everything else? Comfort? Appearances? Sexual access? Children? Money? Growth? Honesty? Avoiding loneliness? Or one person's emotional stability? Don't write the ideal. Write what behavior has proven. Question 2. What state have I outsourced? Complete the sentence. Without this person, I fear I cannot feel loved, safe, desired, important, adventurous, worthy, financially secure, spiritually alive. Then ask, what quality in them have I not fully cultivated in myself? Question 3. What are our punishments and rewards? What truth reliably produces distance, mockery, anger, or silence? What performance reliably restores affection? Which behaviors receives attention when the attention is negative? This identifies the conditioning loop. Question 4. What do I reclaim? Choose one outsourced quality or one action that can be cultivated outside of the relationship. If you outsourced adventure, plan something alone. If you outsourced worth, keep one promise to yourself every day for 30 days. If you outsourced emotional safety, build the support and regulation practices that makes honesty survivable. And if you're afraid doing this would diminish the relationship, then the relationship was a band-aid. Question 5. What do we choose to worship? Write one shared purpose larger than avoiding pain or consuming pleasure. Not staying together forever. What are you building through the relationship's truth? Family, art, service, wealth, initiation, community, mastery, companionship, or a life that develops both people? Then name one weekly ritual that puts time and behavior behind it. And then add this essential test. A shared purpose is not permission for one partner to dominate the other. Consent, boundaries, and the right to tell the truth are not obstacles to the work. They are evidence that the work is mature. So I want to give you a little 30-day bonus implementation, even if you're not picking up the book just yet. Each partner keeps one individual reclamation practice. The couple keeps one shared purpose ritual. Once a week, each answers, did our behaviors worship what we said we value? If the answer is no, do not make it a moral trial. Correct the ritual. Change what it is that receives the time, the energy, reward, and the repetition. You see, the altar is always being fed. Conscious relationships begin when you decide what deserves the offering. Your personal, intimate relationship is one of the most important ones. If you think about the kind of quality effort people put into their business, this is the person you're in everything with. I'm sure you could add a little bit more effort. A conscious cult of two is not two broken people promising never to leave. It's two people who no longer need to abandon themselves in order to remain and who choose to make the relationship a place where both are required to become more real. Imagine being loved without having to protect the performance that first made you desirable. Imagine telling the truth before resentment has to tell it for you. Imagine desire that is not used as proof of worth, and commitment that is not used as insurance against abandonment. Imagine your partner's strength no longer exposing your lack, because you have begun cultivating that strength within yourself. Their freedom does not threaten you. Their difference does not mean the end of love. They are not the keeper of your missing soul. Now the relationship can become what it was capable of being all along, not a hiding place from your unfinished nature, but a container strong enough to reveal it. Two people, two wills, two complete inner worlds, enough unity to build a life, enough difference to keep discovering one another, a shared purpose large enough that pleasure serves it and pain teaches it, but neither becomes its god. This is the pleasure of the other side of relational maturity. You're free to choose the other because you're no longer using them to escape yourself, or as a way to experience the emotional states that you don't have access to on your own. Love still happens from you, but now it has somewhere worthy to go. This model sits at the heart of the cult of two. It's largely a deliberate, uncompromising work. It moves through personal cosmology, attachment wounds, ritual, the unconscious boundaries, sexual energy and magic, shamanic BDSM, loss, the tree of life and death, elemental magic and planetary magic in erotic contexts and senses, and the progression from solitary cultivation into a mature cult of two and the underlying developmental models here that's oftentimes not spoken about in common occult views. It's not a promise that a relationship will save you. It's a system for becoming someone capable of entering intimacy without surrendering the throne of your own soul, and for using relationships, vulnerability, and erotic energy as part of a genuine spiritual practice. Some of the material is explicit and advanced, but I do make it beginner friendly. Read it as an adult. Honor consent, boundaries, psychological stability, and the actual level of your practice. Power without maturity is not initiation. It's merely appetite with better language. You can find The Cult of Two on Amazon and most other bookstores online. And if you are a member of the Cult of You in the Living program, its teachings are also available in the Sex Magic section of the course. I'll see you in the next episode.